Hey guys, Gabriel from Serial Killers. We are at the heart of Vienna at Karlsplatz with Nick. I don't know how to pronounce your last name, right?
Neervens.
Neervens, okay.
Neervens.
So basically the guy behind animation, or a part of animation behind Killzone Shadowfall and also Horizon Zero Dawn at Guerilla Games. So maybe start from the beginning. How did you get into animation?
It's actually a long story because for the longest time I didn't even know what I wanted to be, even that I wanted to be an animator actually. And it actually took me a while to figure that out. Like I did like 3 different schools, I think, and I dropped out of every one of them.
Okay.
Then actually I went to China to study Shaolin Kung Fu because I had no clue, so I thought like I better do something. So I spent 6 months in China. But then when I was in China, I actually kind of realized that I had to because when I was a kid, I actually loved drawing, play video games and stuff, and I kind of lost that when I was growing up. So, but when I was in China, I kind of I started to listen to that little kid again a little bit more, and I picked up drawing again, and I basically wanted to find something that would make me happy. So actually, to make a long story short, like when I got back, I really fell in love with animation. I did try like a lot of other varieties within CG, within computer graphics. But when I first made like an object move, that was like the first time I really like oh yeah, that's so amazing. Like to see something static come to life, you know. And so I attended Animation Mentor, which is an online animation school, and I stayed there for 18 months. And after that, I landed my first visual effects job, which is in a small visual effects studio where they worked on commercials and some Dutch movies mostly. So I worked there for 2 years or something. And but in the end, I did realize I didn't want to animate bottles of washing detergent for the rest of my career. So I knew I had to find something else. So when I started animation, I realized that Guerrilla Studio was pretty much the coolest job you could have as an animator in Holland, in my opinion at least. So I always wanted to work there, and with some luck and perseverance, I finally managed to get a job there. And yeah, I was hired to help actually finalize Killzone Shadowfall. So I worked, I think, for a year on the last stage of production with Killzone Shadowfall.
Yep.
And after that, I spent the next 3.5 to 4 years to develop and ultimately ship Horizon Zero Dawn.
Oh, that's cool.
So that's actually how I came at the Guerilla, and I
Awesome.
still really love it. I'm there for like 5 years now, and yeah, even today it's like still can't believe that I can get to do this stuff for a living. You know, it's
That's awesome.
pretty awesome. Yeah.
Can you give us some details on the behind the scenes process behind the game? Like, what can you talk about? Like, you don't have to spoil anything or too much on the NDA or something. But how's it working? Like on a big project like Horizon Zero Dawn, or even Killzone Shadowfall?
Yeah, it was actually because the visual effects studio I worked before was a pretty small studio. So when I joined Guerrilla, it was actually the first time I got to collaborate in like a big studio with a lot of people. And in the smaller company, I was more as a generalist. I did a little bit of modeling, a little bit of rigging, and animation as well. And now at Guerrilla, I was hired to be an animator, so I could just focus on my animations because there were so many amazing, talented modelers, riggers, programmers, and all these amazingly talented people. So it was really nice to see how this big studio like cooperates, like works together, and it's really cool to see when I was in the team for Aloy's animation, like the humanoid animation team, I'll call it. So that consists of programmers, designers, and us animators. And it was really cool to see like how we all collaborated. Like we could, because everyone has their own expertise. Like the programmers look at a problem much differently than we do as animators. So it was really nice to see that all come together. Like how they enforced our ideas, or we could like give them suggestions of how to solve something. You know, it was really cool to see everyone with their really precise, specific specialization that they have, and that all coming together. And I think that's like the coolest thing that was different when I started working at a big studio.
That's cool. And especially the animation part, like your job. Can you go into detail with that?
Yeah, for Horizon and also for Killzone, I was responsible for the first-person animations. So basically, all the stuff you do as the player. So the reloads and the firing, and also I think the brutal melees. Some of them I also did. And for Horizon, I was mostly responsible together with I think there were 4 or 5 other animators responsible for Aloy's locomotion system. So how she would move through the world, like the climbing and the parkouring and also the combat and the firing and the meleeing. So basically, that everything that involves Aloy going through, traversing through the world of Horizon.
Okay. Maybe as startup animator or artists, do you got some tips like getting into the whole animation process or?
Yeah, I think the first tip, if you really start from the beginning, don't give up and work really hard. Like, it's pretty hard to do animation. Like it takes a long time because sometimes you can spend like on 30 seconds of animation, you can spend a week. And start at the basics. Like, start with a simple bouncing ball. See if you can make a ball heavy, or animate a light ball, animate a ping pong ball, animate a beach ball, animating bouncing ball. Because basically that test or that practice you will use throughout your career. Because that bouncing ball can be your hips when you animate, and so getting that right, that sense of weight and timing, is basically like the most important thing you could learn as an animator. And the rest of things, like always ask for feedback, is also a really good one. Like, even as your mom, your whoever you can find, like everyone has an opinion when something moves, even though they don't know anything about animation. They can tell if something's off, if something doesn't have gravity, if something feels a little bit weird. They won't be able to name it, but they will be able to feel it. And also, like, everyone has their own view on life, so they can really give you really nice comments that really help to enrich your own animation ideas.
So maybe to step a bit back, like in your childhood or something, did you always get a talent for drawing, or did you just get later into drawing, or?
2D drawing, I still suck at pretty bad, but as a kid, I did really like to draw. Yes, I always like was playing like cowboy. I was an astronaut. Like, I was always like living out whole fantasies in my head, and so I think I always had that sense of like, I always want to live, like, to be somewhere else, like live out this fantasy. And I think that's one thing that I still have now, and I try to get back to it, because as a kid it comes really natural to you, like to live out this whole fantasies, like pretend like a stick is a sword, for example. It really comes natural to you, but as you grow up, you kind of lose that playful sense to yourself. So like nowadays, my job is to try and reach back to when I had those feelings, like to really imagine that something is like this epic flaming sword, whenever it's just a stick. And can you go over to the question actually? What was the question? Sorry.
The whole when you get into drawing, or
Okay, yeah.
talent, or did you see you got a talent for that or something?
Yeah, so I did always like to draw, and I'm not sure you can call it a talent, but I think the thing is, like, I just love to do it, because it put me in a different character, and I think that was the thing that today I still love about it. And I think, like, I do like 2D drawing still today, but I realize I don't really like talent. Only gets you so far. Like, you can have amazing talent, but if you don't keep working at it, at one point you will stagnate, because after that it just becomes like you want to draw inspiration from other things, and just the craftsmanship of being able to draw good or render a drawing nicely, it will end somewhere. But after that, you have to like soak up inspiration from around you and try to put that into your work. So I think talent gets you somewhere, but if you keep working hard at it, that's the thing that actually that will grow, will make you grow to like a even higher level. Yeah.
Okay, maybe as a final question, when players play like Killzone Shadowfall or Horizon, where should they look if they want to see your work?
Do you want me to go in specific weapons for Killzone Shadowfall?
Maybe, yeah.
Let me see if I can still remember the names, actually. Yeah, there's the sniper rifle actually, the LS-70, I think it's called.
Okay.
And the rocket launcher, the BLR-08. Oh, I even remember them. And I think there's also like a pistol, the LS-12, and a machine pistol, the LS-21. That's actually the first person animation I did for Killzone Shadowfall. And for Horizon, I had a bigger part in like the climbing animations for Aloy and the stealth kills that she does, and some of the parkouring when she runs over the stepping stone and the balance beams.
Oh, that's cool.
But again, like I did like some part of it, but it was like basically like a combination of everyone in the team.
Yeah.
But on those things, I had a majority, a bigger part in those things than in the basic locomotion stuff.
Yeah. Thanks for the big input and yeah, behind the scenes look in your work.
You're welcome. Thank you.